woke is Bill and Ted Face the Music? Ever since the first trailer for Bill and Ted Face the Music, only one thing put a slight dent into the excitement fans felt over seeing Bill and Ted again: the nagging concern that Bill and Ted might have gone woke. We'll begin this video by first addressing why so many have started recoiling from any movie or TV series that even hints at being woke, what had fans worried about Bill and Ted Face the Music in particular, and finally reveal whether or not Bill and Ted have really gone woke. Before we proceed, please be advised that there will be spoilers. It was in 2015 that we first got a glimpse of things to come. Lucasfilm, which had been bought by Disney, had made its first Star Wars movie with The Force Awakens, directed by J.J. Abrams. In the film, we are introduced to a young scavenger named Rey, who seems to wield extraordinary Force abilities with absolutely no prior training. It also reintroduces us to a more mature Han Solo, who has walked out on his wife Leia and their son to resume his life of smuggling. It was a year later that Wokeness hit the mainstream with Paul Feig's Ghostbusters 2016, a movie that went out of its way to portray every single male character as evil, inept, or both, and has only gotten worse since. In July of 2017, British actress Jodie Whittaker was announced to be taking over the role of the Doctor in the long-running BBC series Doctor Who. The announcement also came on the heels of Broadchurch creator Chris Chibnall assuming the role of showrunner. What followed has been a steady ratings decline ever since, and the permanent alienation of some of its longtime fans. In September of that year, Star Trek Discovery debuted on the CBS television network, with the series then continuing on its primary home CBS All Access. Star Trek Discovery was touted as the first time a woman of color would lead a major science fiction franchise. However, the fans didn't exactly take to the series. Star Trek Discovery, or STD as it became known in certain fan circles, was reviled for its major deviations from Trek lore. It was also lambasted by fans for portraying its main character, Michael Burnham, as a Mary Sue who could do no wrong, and whom everyone would merely stand around and wait for her to solve whatever problem of the week that might endanger the ship. The series would also admittedly portray its main antagonists, the Klingons, as stand-ins for right-leaning conservatives. As a result, CBS All Access has yet to make a major penetration into the streaming market. A follow-up series to Star Trek Picard, which portrayed one of the most beloved characters in television history as a doddering fool, constantly apologizing for his privilege, while simultaneously showing a woman of color as a homeless, drug-addicted deadbeat parent, only served to exacerbate fan discontent. However, the biggest offender of that year was Star Wars The Last Jedi, written and directed by Rian Johnson. The hero of the galaxy, Luke Skywalker, went from being a paragon of virtue to a broken shell of a man who contemplated murdering his nephew and who sequestered himself on an island awaiting death, while Rey is now all-powerful with no training and for no reason. Poe Dameron, played by Oscar Isaac, the hero of the previous movie, was now relegated to being scolded by a condescending purple-haired Admiral Holdo, played by Laura Dern, who gets most of the fleet killed because she refused to share her plan with her senior officers. In 2019, the Terminator franchise was rebooted yet again, with the film Terminator Dark Fate. In the first act, John Connor, the savior of humanity in the war against Skynet, is gunned down by Arnold Schwarzenegger's T-800 at a beachside restaurant in front of his mother, Sarah. The movie introduces a new character, a cybernetically augmented soldier named Grace, sent back from the year 2042 to protect a young Mexican girl named Dani, played by Natalie Reyes, from a new Terminator, the Rev-9, played by Gabriel Luna. Later in the film, the T-800, having no purpose since he has fulfilled his mission, has pursued a life of domesticity, humiliated and emasculated under the name Carl as an interior decorator. Director Tim Miller said of the new female protagonist, Grace, "If you're at all enlightened, she'll play like gangbusters. If you're a closet misogynist, she'll scare the fuck out of you. Because she's tough and strong but very feminine." Needless to say, his comments didn't help, as Terminator Dark Fate reportedly went on to lose an estimated $120 million. The year 2019 also saw the most woke of all films, Captain Marvel. Carol Danvers had been a fan favorite in Marvel Comics throughout the 70s and up through the 80s. However, this version of the character was inspired by the Kelly Sue DeConnick retooling. The main plot point of the story is that throughout her life, Carol Danvers' biggest enemy wasn't the Skrulls or the Kree. It was men keeping her down, and all she had to do was literally stand up. Though the film was a financial success, it was not helped by the negative publicity surrounding its star, Brie Larson. Her comments regarding the film A Wrinkle in Time became an internet meme, and the backlash that ensued led to changes in the Rotten Tomatoes rating system in order to prevent what Rotten Tomatoes asserted was review bombing. While not fully quote-unquote woke, Avengers Endgame did give us a possible glimpse into the future of the MCU, where, for no apparent reason and against all logic, every female character managed to converge at the same place at the same time on a battlefield that spanned miles. Also in that year, Charlie's Angels was rebooted, this time directed by Elizabeth Banks, in which Sir Patrick Stewart is made to be the villain. On its opening weekend, the girl power heavy film made only $6 million in the US on a budget of $48 million. In 2020, the film Birds of Prey, perhaps one of the most grievous examples, was released. In the film, Harley Quinn, played by Margot Robbie, spends most of her time trying to prove she doesn't need the Joker, while hiding behind her relationship. Ewan McGregor's Black Mask is portrayed as misogynistic and as homosexual, as confirmed by star Ewan McGregor. The film performed so poorly that it was retitled in its second week from Birds of Prey: The Fantabulous Emancipation of Harley Quinn to simply Harley Quinn: Birds of Prey. The name change didn't help. On an $84.5 million budget, Birds of Prey made $33 million domestically. Worldwide, it made only $81 million. Though these films may have been made at different times, they all seem to have a common thread, and that has raised the ire of audiences. In recent years, a word has taken hold of many in Hollywood. That term is deconstruction. More often than not, it is the trend that sees a franchise or a popular character, where the main character has been quite literally destroyed for the sake of destroying him, or in order to make other characters look better by comparison. This is the veil under which quote-unquote wokeness is often disguised. All of these films and properties take well-established and beloved characters, tear them down to the point where they are unrecognizable, and many go out of their way to portray the male characters as incompetent, inept, and foolish. Audiences, feeling betrayed by filmmakers and studios who believe that they know better, have been voting with their wallets. Many of these films have been financial failures, which has given rise to the mantra of get woke, go broke. The sacrificing of male characters in order to build up female characters was a concern for many fans of the Bill and Ted movies, especially when they heard that rather than Bill and Ted having sons, they have daughters, and that the daughters are actually the ones who gave Bill and Ted the song that united all of reality. Those concerns, given recent history, may be valid. However, as Rufus said, sometimes things don't make sense until the end of the story. Bill and Ted Face the Music could have easily gone awry. Though many have concerns that the characters of Bill and Ted would be changed to fit a woke agenda, they have not. They are the same lovable, innocent guys that we last saw in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Their music career may have stalled, however they still have the same optimistic outlook on life, and never once have strayed from their path. When doubt does creep in, a friendly reminder of their importance arrives in the character of Kelly, played by Kristen Schaal, the daughter of Rufus, played by George Carlin. Rufus still remains the guiding hand to Bill and Ted, and when his wife conspires to subvert history by pursuing her own agenda, Rufus is ultimately proven right, and Kelly's unshakable faith in her father was ultimately vindicated. It was never about the song. It was about Bill and Ted, who figured out it was they who were the ones that made everyone play the song across time and space to save reality. What fans ultimately want in a sequel film is a passing of the torch story, where the original characters are respected and new characters are introduced who are in supporting roles. When plans for Ghostbusters 3 stalled, it was the hope of fans that eventually a new film would see the characters take up the mantle passed down by the originals. What we got instead was Paul Feig trampling upon the legacy of the core group. What Ghostbusters 2016 got wrong, Cobra Kai got right. The story continued while never losing sight of who the main characters were, bringing in new characters, fleshing them out, and giving you a reason to like them. Bill and Ted Face the Music follows much of the same tract. Though many assume that Little Bill and Little Ted were boys, they were never established as boys in Bogus Journey, where they were actually played by girls. In the Midnight's Edge interview with Ed Solomon, he pointed out that making them boys would have seemed redundant. He also noted that making them super smart or cooler than their dads wouldn't work either, and one of the main concerns wasn't making them girls. Billy, played by Bridget Lundy Payne, and Thea, played by Samara Weaving, are an integral part of the story, but they are there mainly to provide support for the two male leads, who are front and center and proactively save the day. Just as in Cobra Kai, where Johnny and Daniel are front and center, with their children being in integral supporting roles. Each complements the other, and Bill and Ted are never made to look foolish for their daughters to look better in the eyes of the audience. However, the most reaffirming moment comes when Death, played by William Sadler, is convinced by Billy and Thea to rejoin the band. Death tells Bill and Ted that they had raised two good girls. And in one solitary act, the trope of the Hollywood bad dad was broken. Hollywood and the movie industry are prone to, if anything else, whatever the latest trend is. One week, it might be vampires. Another, it might be zombies, action movies, romantic comedies, adventure stories, science fiction, horror, giant robots, monsters of the week, film noir, westerns, superheroes, war movies. And yes, even wokeness. Nothing is immune from the grasp of its tentacles. All trends, thankfully, have a finite shelf life. Here today, and when they stop making one more dollar than they cost to produce, gone tomorrow. We can only guess what the next trend might be. For now, tell us what you think about Bill and Ted Face the Music. And if you haven't seen it, are you excited to in the comments? And check back with us for our upcoming video about the possible woke purge at Disney, where we will go through what we've learned and what it all means. And be sure to subscribe and click the bell icon for notifications, and check out more of our videos right here at Midnight's Edge.